Hi, I'm Raleigh Williams and I'm playing in the Pool US Open. Now, I'm not that good, so I'm gonna get absolutely killed. But for the next 10 weeks, I'll be training with some pro players to try to get as good as possible. This is the road to the US Open. Hello and welcome back. I am joined as always by professional pool player Hunter Lombardo. Hunter, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Raleigh.
Of course. So what are we going to be working on today?
We're going to work on draw and follow. We're going to get you better at having your tip at the bottom of the ball to where when you strike it, it comes backwards. And then when you have your tip to the top of the ball, you strike it, it goes forward.
Now, we got some comments last time asking about what you thought my actual odds are of winning the whole US Open. So what do you feel like they might be? 3? Oh, I was looking at the wrong part of your hand.
That's okay, it happens. We
Okay.
tend not to focus on the things that we need to focus on.
Oh, and he made it a lesson? Nice. This
So
is
it's zero.
a good teacher.
Zero. But the thing about being a zero is you have the most chance to become a hero from it.
Wow. Yeah, I have nowhere to go but up.
That is
Great.
correct. Not here.
Not now. Not here. I don't know who you are, but I will find you, and I will kill you. Liam Neeson. Okay, let's get to work.
People can watch a player play and wonder, like, why is it he can get so much action on the ball and it looks like he's not doing much? And that's the difference is that player, whether he's aware of it or not, whether it happened through repetition or actually it's happening through him understanding procedure and technique, that he fits the tip better to the cue ball than you currently do.
Fitting the tip to the cue ball. Okay,
Yeah.
you want to give us a demo?
Sure, absolutely. So you can see how I'm set up, and then
That was great. And you wanted to reshape the tip?
yeah,
Great.
we're going to reshape it to where now we have more curvature on the tip, so now the curve can fit the curve of the cue ball. So as you can see here, the more and more I start to go, see how we're starting to gain a little bit more of a curve. So our goal is now to create a little bit more of a dome.
Are tips kind of all the same at this point?
All tips are different. I mean, even if they say they're both soft or both mediums, I mean, it's organic matter, so it's
Right.
so it could be different. It could look the same, but the playability could be different.
All right, so now with this newly freshened up, shapened up tip, I should get maximum draw.
You're going to get more draw now and with less stroke because the tip is fitting the cue ball better. So the lower you go, the more curve is actually going to now be turning the cue ball for you. Here you go.
Kind of stabbed at that, but it definitely came back kind of nicely. Let me do it one more time.
Okay.
I like actually get through the ball.
Yeah, and then once you just go a little lower,
Lower than that?
yeah, go lower. Because now you have more of a curve, you can go lower than what you're used to. Just go lower and just push through the ball.
Kind of wobbled on the hit, but yeah, that feels better.
All right, so now that we've got your tip shaped up properly, we're going to talk about what is the technique. How do we create the cue to fit the cue ball better?
Okay.
Getting the tip to fit the cue ball better. And so most people talk about how you must always play with a level cue. I find that kind of nearly impossible, especially the way the configuration of the table is, how we're built, and you can see here that most players, will come from an angle like this. All the books even talk about play with a level cue, play with a level cue, and I'm sure that's where I can see that you always try your best to have a level cue.
Yeah,
but
I've been told that like
you have
1,000
to,
times.
So you have to understand that there are certain angles that have to be created to get certain actions on the ball.
Okay.
So if you look, if I come here and I try to have a very level cue, and let's say now I'm going to just go low, you can see with a level cue, I can only go so low. Look how much
Right.
more ball there is on the bottom.
Yeah, and the
Okay?
rail is just.
So what
in
ends
the
up
way.
happening is you either become a player that ends up creating angles through impact or presetting the angles before impact.
I don't understand.
Well, you're
either
going to
one of
understand
those.
now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So currently what you do and what most players do is that you're trying to play with a level stroke. You can see that I'm not quite low enough,
Okay.
as low as I could be on this cue ball. So what ends up happening is if I end up just staying there and I hit through there, I'll get a little bit of backspin, but not much.
Yeah.
Well, then there's some times where you're playing and you're there, but you realize that in order to get maximum, we've got to be here. So what ends up happening, you're like this, but on your last stroke, you end up, not knowingly, and probably not, again, I mean, but subconsciously, you end up now creating almost a dipping effect with your arm.
Okay.
So you would start like this, but that dipping effect is what ends up now creating that angle. So if we hold this cue here, you can see that that's actually the angle that needs to be created to make the ball come back. Why? Because it's the top part of the tip that's hitting the bottom part of the ball.
Gotcha.
So to me, I find that if you're willing to play 8-10 hours a day like some guys do,
Okay.
then can you make that work? Yeah, absolutely. But when we're in a case like this where you and I only have 10 weeks,
Ain't got that kind of time.
we don't have that kind of time. Instead of me trying to now create that angle through impact,
Yeah.
how about if I just go ahead and try to preset that angle at impact?
Ah, okay.
Okay, so you can see that it's my front hand and my backhand that actually have to work together to get the correct part. Where I think a lot of people have gone wrong in the past is you'll just see someone set up level and they'll just lower their front hand. Well, that's not gonna work. And then if my hand's level and then I just say, oh, I'll just raise my backhand, you can see now that the bottom part of the tip is actually hitting the table.
Yeah, you got a
before
bigger
the top,
angle.
Before the top part of the tip does, and then now you're gonna actually almost have to create an upward motion
Right.
with your stroke.
Right.
So again, you know, if you do something enough, you can make it work, but we're about efficiency, and that's what we have to really strive for
Right.
the next 10 weeks. So here, you can see that as I lower my front hand, I have to let my backhand raise ever so slightly to get the correct part of this tip to fit the ball. And that's why now I'm getting so much more action.
Gotcha. Great.
So now when it comes to the top spin, you can see that if we try to do it with a level cue, we actually now are creating almost the bottom part of the tip is not quite to the top of the ball. So when we do hit, it's sending energy through the ball downwards, and that's what's going to create it to skip.
We're trapping the ball under the stick.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this tip, now that we have a better curvature on it, to gear with the cue ball to get it to turn over sooner.
Okay.
So you can see that if I try to do a level stroke, again, now I'm robbing myself of a lot of the top of the cue ball. But now, with presetting our angle versus trying to create our angle through impact, you can see that as I raise my front hand, my backhand would lower, now allowing us to fit the bottom part of the tip to the top part of the cue ball.
Wow. Okay. Ooh.
First things first, why don't you go ahead and try how you normally do things. Go with your level stroke. Okay. And you can see that top part of the tip's here, but look how much more we have to work with down here.
Yeah.
So if you go ahead and raise your backhand a little bit, now you can see that you can actually get the correct part of the tip to fit the bottom of the ball.
Wow, I'm
And so
always
now,
amazed at how low you can go on the ball without miscue.
yeah, but that's because you don't have a way to measure. Now you have a way to measure, and now it makes sense that you can go that low.
When you say way to measure,
Way to measure because you're now focusing, your focus is on something specific, the top part of your tip. Before, a lot of players, they don't even realize it, they're thinking of the middle of their tip, and
Yeah.
that's why they never go low enough.
so I'm trying to get the top part of the tip on which part of the ball?
The bottom part. So what happens is a lot of people then, the next question that's probably going to come is that, well, I feel if I go too low, I'm going to end up making the ball jump. Well, the only way that's going to happen is it's not because there's not enough chalk on your tip, it's because you end up you're either too low or you end up creating that dipping motion would cause the bottom part of the tip to hit the table before the top part of the tip
And then it
got
bounces
to the
up.
ball, and then why it does that.
Gotcha.
So again, the more you start to practice this through repetition, you can go ahead and get better at sizing this up and saying, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit lower, top part of the tip, yeah. and you stabilize that angle you've created and just hit right through it. Trust it.
Cool. I even kind of stabbed at it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
But
used to
like I
things
said,
that
we're
kind of-
gonna, through our journey together, we're going to develop a stroke.
There. Nice relaxed hand, bridge up.
I hit it. Foul. Now, topspin, I've never really thought about the lowering the backhand for the topspin.
But if you can see that if you don't, you can't get the correct part of the tip to the top of the ball.
Yeah, I can see that now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Now that you said it explicitly.
You're gonna end up getting a miscue when
'Cause
you dropped your arm.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about it out there, everybody, is that, people always talk about steering. Well, there's horizontal steering, but there's also lateral steering that can happen. And so that's where you'll see guys drop or lift versus turn out or turn in when they're using spin.
Yeah, felt great. Okay, so we changed a lot about my game, and every time we change something, it feels like we're trying to err on the side of more stability and less error. Is that accurate?
So I can totally understand you feeling a little out of sorts, because it's just like going to the gym. It's like the old strength leaving and the new coming in.
Is that something they say in the gym?
Yeah, which I need to be spending more time in.
Not me.
Yeah, so that's how Raleigh inspires me. It's almost kind of impossible to play pool to the fullest if you're trying to play everything with level stroke. It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
So you have to be aware of these angles that need to be either created through impact or preset before impact.
And we want preset.
Preset is something that's actually going to be able to be more manageable, because then if you can measure it, then you're able to manage it.
All right, I got a new shaped up tip. I know where to put the tip against the ball. I got a brand new lease on life. I'm feeling pretty good right now. How are you feeling about my new chances to win this whole US Open?
I'm feeling good that you're feeling good, but I'm not. My thoughts on your chances of the Open have not changed.
Honesty is important, and I appreciate that in you.
Correct.
Okay. Well, what are we going to work on next time?
We're going to work on your transition. It's something that everybody struggles with, including myself, and how can we tap more into our timing of our stroke.
Okay. Well, see you next time.